So 150 years.
120
Okay,
years.
so like at this time, like they still have some semblance of a Bible. It wasn't many years later.
So at this time they do. Yeah, I mean essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
The ordering of the Bible gets canonized later,
Okay.
right? But in terms of the core, that there are Gospels, that there are letters of, these are Paul's letters to communities, that happens about 200 years prior.
Okay.
Right? The canonization of the Bible comes later, though.
Is this, okay, so it says, لا يعلمون مثل قولهم. Is it saying that, I mean, are you saying
You
that...
got to start a little bit before that. كذلك قال الذين.
Yeah.
Okay.
كذلك قال الذين لا يعلمون مثل. So they don't know مثل, when it says مثل قولهم, is it saying that they don't really know how to interpret and apply what they're reciting?
So this would be...
It's just rote?
So كذلك is like this. قال, they said. Who's they? الذين لا يعلمون. Okay. So what they're
Just like
saying...
the people who have no knowledge?
So the people who had no knowledge say the same type of things. مثلهم. Okay.
Oh, لا يعلمون.
So you got كذلك, right? Like that. Okay. قال, he said.
So it's the same thing as if they don't have any knowledge.
So the people who had no knowledge say the same thing.
I see.
Okay. Because that's how it plays out anyway, right? They're working according to wishful thinking, which
Yeah.
is lack of knowledge. They're reciting the book, they're not actually reading the book.
Yeah.
Lack of knowledge further reinforced, although they think they're getting something. And the end result is they're saying something that's no different than what everyone else says. Apply it to us as a community, that you see many people who speak on behalf of the deen. Ultimately, the things they say are no different than what every other religious group says. And that is an indication of lack of actually looking at what the text says. In the widest sense, all religions say the same thing, but once you get even slightly specific, they're all very different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're still processing?
No, it makes perfect sense now. Yeah.
Okay, let's stop here, because then 114 is going to change things a little bit in terms of further consequences of belief and rejection. Any other questions, thoughts, comments?
Can you just explain that again? I'm so sorry. That last, about their recitation and how
Okay.
that they don't have knowledge? Cause I'm,
Okay.
so-
So we said in the previous ayah that these are people who are speaking out of wishful thinking. That was Aman Yuhum. Where did that go?
About how, like, both of them will go to heaven? That's wishful thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so what's driving it? It's just wishful thinking. Like if I ask you, if when someone says Islam is peace, right? Are they saying that because that's what they want to say, that's what they want people to hear, or are they saying that because they've determined that from the text? Right?
Yeah. I think
Those are different. Those are fundamentally different. And so, out of wishful thinking, for me, Islam is going to be whatever I want it to be, and it can line up with the text, or it can be something completely different from the text, right? But now, add to that. Let's say I recite the Quran every day. Recite, okay, no meaning. That's going to reinforce my wishful thinking, because now I'm even feeling like I'm connected to the text. Right? But because my rhetoric is still the rhetoric of wishful thinking, essentially I'm saying the same thing that someone who has no knowledge of the text is saying, someone who has no knowledge at all. So it creates this whole system of Islam is whatever you want it to be as opposed to whatever God says it is. Which, at some point, because Islam is so frequently, so in our language, straightforward, more often than not, you probably line up with Islam, but many times you're not going to. Yeah.
Can you explain again? Okay, so the last few words, right? It says, essentially, Allah will judge between them, essentially their differences.
Uh-huh.
Like, I mean, on the surface it's kind of simple, but is there a deeper...
So the point being is that they're calling each other out saying, okay, you're wrong, we're right, right? And so what are we being told? Don't get involved in that fight.
Just leave it
God's
alone.
going to judge
Let
between
Allah
them.
take care of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The day of judgment. What they differ.
Last, sorry.
Yeah,
But
far away.
doesn't that also kind of say that we shouldn't say like, you know how at the beginning you were doing that exercise, what would you rather like?
Oh, you mean that exercise that everybody was resisting, and I'm just trying to teach a lesson with that exercise? Yeah, I remember that
one.
exercise, yeah.
So like, you know how we were picking between, okay, would you rather they
Yeah.
convert to Judaism or Christianity? So isn't that saying like, isn't this the Quran saying like you shouldn't even choose between that because also
Yeah, essentially. Except for a learning purpose, yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
you know. So,
That'd been like, aha, therefore you shouldn't be doing either. Yeah. Leading us a straight path. Okay, any other last questions, thoughts about anything else?
This section-
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so we
Hey.
went from should to keeping it real, so this next one is going to be,
This is really real.
oh, okay, so
Uh-oh.
from should to real to really, really real.
This is like super real. So I wanted to introduce you guys to someone who's very near and dear to my heart, Talia.
Okay.
I
That's
met
all we're
her a
treating.
while ago.
What's your name again? I'm sorry.
Talia.
Talia.
Talia. We met because we're both really into hair.
Okay.
and somehow it brought us to
Omer and I are both really into hair too.
Yeah. Right.
So I've known Talia for quite a long time, several years. I think we probably met back in 2010. She was actually my stylist. I was going to the salon like every week. She's taking care of me. And she had...
She's already rolling her eyes at you like, seriously?
She's like, seriously, dude? Let's go back to the should conversation.
Yeah, so